So this is a short video um, description of your final assignment. I had um, I wanted to give you a little extra time to work on this because I know everybody has a lot going on this last couple weeks of classes. Um, and some people find this assignment a little confusing, but um, let's look at assignment 2, clinical assessment of a movie character. This assignment is meant to familiarize you with the DSM-5 and the process of diagnosing. It should be 4 to 5 typed content pages, so 4 or 5 content pages plus a title page, an abstract, and a reference page. So that would be 8 pages total. Um, and so you are required to have some professional references. And by that I mean either professional books, not a textbook. You can use the DSM, of course. In fact, you need to use the DSM, either version. And but you do need to look at some professional journals, some recent ones, to find some of the best ways to treat whatever diagnosis you choose. And you're going to have to cite those and apply them to your client and create an in-depth treatment plan. So, 2 to 4 references about best treatment methods. So APA format, 1-inch margins, appropriate font size, 12 pitch Times New Roman, all that good stuff. Use professional language as if the character you choose is your actual client. You're not referring to a movie, right? As if this is your client. So you're actually a therapist and you're writing this as a report to your counseling agency. So you would, even if you choose somebody like the Little Mermaid, I think her name is Ariel, you might say, my client, Ariel, was diagnosed with code, blah, 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 and then name the disorder, go on to discuss all the different things. But you're going to use professional language. You're not going to say, in the movie, The Little Mermaid. No. This is a professional report, even though you're having a little bit of fun with this character. Okay? So, using the information from your lectures, DSM, research, you'll complete the following. You can label these in your paper. So, A, you can label this assessment. Okay? B, diagnosis. C, diagnostic criteria and differential diagnosis. D, treatment. Okay, you can label the different sections. All right? So we want a detailed assessment. Make sure you include all of the domains. Use the example I provided of an assessment or a similar one. So a description of a movie character. It could be a movie character, a cartoon, a TV character, a comic book character, anybody you choose. I just want you to pick some interesting client. It could be Batman. It could be Little Mermaid. It could be Woody Allen. I don't care. I just want you to have an interesting client. Okay? You may not know all the background for the assessment, so make it up. have a full assessment that will give you enough information that you can differentiate a diagnosis. So you can add, some aspects to the character. Once again, you're not going to say, in the movie or this character. You're going to talk about them as if they are your client and you are their therapist and you are writing a report for your agency that will go in the client's file. Professional language. Okay, you will complete the following, a foundation of your assignment. So this assessment information will be the foundation of this assignment, a good assessment. Clear description in the assessment, the case history, format of the character that you're diagnosing is important. So this should be pretty detailed. The diagnosis, use the code, use the DSM terminology, include severity, all of the different terms. And then the diagnostic criteria. Don't just list the criteria. You have to actually discuss which criteria the client meets, which criteria they do not meet. Give examples of how they meet the criteria. Don't just say they meet this criteria. Tell me how. Give me an example for each criteria they meet. So, how did you reach this diagnosis? Include descriptions, history, symptoms to support the clinical decision. Also include differentiation. Well, why this diagnosis? How did you rule out another diagnosis that might have had some of the same symptomology? Did they not meet some things in the other criteria? So always talk about differentiation. And then treatment. You're going to look up the best treatment, but you can't just say, over the next 8 weeks, we're going to use CBT with this client in therapy. You need, a couple pages of assessment, a couple pages of diagnosis, a couple pages of treatment, and so if we were going with 5 typed pages of content, we want at least 2 pages of assessment, 1 on diagnostic criteria, and 2 pages on treatment. So you can't just say, I'm going to use this theory. You have to actually create a treatment plan and talk about how are you going to use this? What are you going to use? Some certain techniques? Are you going to use 3 different theories? How's it going to play out over 8 weeks with the client? So 8 weeks, 8 sessions. Is it going to include school or career, home life, personal life, relationships, and what are you going to do in your sessions with this client? So it's detailed, and this is where you're going to really quote or cite, paraphrase some of your journal articles on how to treat this. You can mention in 1 or 2 sentences about medication, but you're not a psychiatrist. I want to hear how you're going to work with them as a therapist. You can't just rely on medication. You can refer a client to a psychiatrist in 2 sentences. the rest of that 2 pages has to be about what are you going to do with this client as the client's therapist. Okay? You can't just rely on medication. You're a counselor. All right, I hope this was a little bit helpful to you, somewhat helpful. And if you have questions, please email me and ask your questions, and I will do my best to help you.